This has got to be by far one of the most interesting ploys to get traded that I think I have ever seen in my career as a NBA YouTuber, and this is a video that I've made many times over my career. James Harden did undergo a huge weight loss when he was with the Houston Rockets right before the NBA bubble started. He did gain a ton of weight before the 2019 NBA season even started. So I've watched this man gain and lose weight throughout my career many times. So this is a topic that I'm very familiar with, and this is without a doubt the strangest scenario out of all of them. So before we get to the content, I just want to let you guys know that I was able to acquire multiple PS5s from StockX, and I'm going to be giving it away to any subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. Whether you're an old subscriber or a new subscriber, if you sub and hit that notification bell, you have entered for a chance to win a PS5. On top of that, if you want additional entries, make sure you follow us on Instagram and on Twitter just so you can get your takes featured as well. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro.
An elite player, an elite teammate, an elite leader, and just a guy that's willing to do whatever it takes to rack up as many wins as we can. Sacrifice and like you said, we're all elite, so depending on the game, depending on what's going on throughout the course of the game, that's going to determine who gets the ball and who makes the plays. We're all unselfish, we're all willing passers, and we play basketball the right way, and that's all that matters.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Guys, unless if you've been living under a rock this past week and your neighbor's name is Squidward and he likes to play the clarinet, then you probably know that James Harden officially was traded to the Brooklyn Nets. And I know what most of you guys are thinking. Mike, this is like your third James Harden video in a week. I'm pretty confident that this will be my final James Harden video in quite some time now that the trade went through and the James Harden drama is done with. But I couldn't let this go because I remember the last time I made a video on a topic similar to this, you guys were shocked and actually enjoyed it. So let's just jump straight into this. You see, James Harden this past week was traded in a package that included Victor Oladipo and Caris LeVert and Jarrett Allen and like 4 teams in general. And we did get some news about that in regards to Caris LeVert, by the way. The reason why it took so long for this trade to officially go through was because they were able to uncover a mass on Caris LeVert's left kidney as he was undergoing a physical. So the Indiana Pacers brand new guard is going to have to go through some extensive treatment in order to get that mass removed. This is honestly a beautiful blessing in disguise because if Caris LeVert was never traded, then Caris LeVert would have never discovered that mass on his kidney. So this trade essentially could have saved Caris LeVert's life. So prayers up for Caris. I'm very happy that they were able to discover this. You don't randomly give your athletes physicals in the middle of the season unless if you're about to trade them. So I'm very happy that they were able to uncover this piece of information. But I digress, because this information on James Harden is very peculiar. You see, in order to make the Houston Rockets feel as if they had no choice but to trade James Harden, because originally the Rockets were doing whatever it took to appease James Harden, well, James Harden had to behave as irrationally as humanly possible. And this started from the very beginning of the season. You see, in the very beginning, he wouldn't even show up to camp. He wouldn't answer the Houston Rockets phone calls or text messages. He didn't approve of the brand new head coach, Stephen Silas. And the Rockets just traded Russell Westbrook, so clearly they weren't really trying to contend anymore. So James Harden was very difficult from the get-go. He'd eventually come into the Houston Rockets' first practice, but he didn't really look like himself. He seemed rather overweight. And prior to that, he was actually in Las Vegas with Lil Baby. There were videos of him throwing money in the air, and I'm sure you could imagine why he was throwing money in the air, until he would eventually come in and play for the Houston Rockets in their first preseason game. Now, this is what he looked like in the Houston Rockets' first preseason game. Clearly looking a little hefty. Many of us thought, okay, he didn't really train this past offseason, but how on earth could an individual gain that quantity of weight, especially if they were in the playoffs literally 3 months ago? You'd have to literally not move from your bed and just eat cheeseburgers all day in order to look like that. And I really don't think it's humanly possible to look that big unless if you actually made the attempt to do so. But as the year went on, the Rockets would play through the preseason, and there'd be additional drama between John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, and James Harden, mainly because James Harden just didn't want to be there. There was a point where he threw a basketball at Jayshawn Tate, and then literally the night of, he would go to a club to celebrate a friend's birthday. And then things got a little quiet. Every once in a while, a reporter would ask James Harden how he would feel about the current situation.
James, now that you've been in camp for about a week, do you feel any better about this situation now than you did before you arrived?
Next question.
And he would clearly reiterate that he did not want to be a member of the Houston Rockets. Well, when the Rockets finally played the Los Angeles Lakers, James Harden saw his opportunity to strike and clearly show that he did not want to be there anymore. First, by looking like this. If you take a look at him in this picture, clearly looks overweight once again. As a matter of fact, the announcer even said that it looks like James Harden had a pregame meal. Throughout the game, James Harden would seem very lackadaisical before the end of the game, where he would give an interview.
We're just not good enough. We don't obviously chemistry, talent-wise, just everything. And it was clear, like I said, these last few games, they just, from the beginning of the game, they were just aggressive, veteran team, obviously, championship team, and, one of the best teams that we have in this league. I love this city. I literally, have done everything that I can. This situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So, thanks.
How he simply just didn't want to be there anymore, how he felt like the Rockets didn't have what it takes to be a NBA championship contender, and continuously and consistently reiterating that it's nothing personal against the Houston Rockets. It's just he's getting to that age where he needs to give the final years of his career to contending for a championship. Very similar to what Kevin Garnett did with the Minnesota Timberwolves, although I think Kevin Garnett went about it in a significantly more classy way. But I could also understand if James Harden was beginning to feel a little desperate and had to behave a little erratically to get there. Now, he gets traded to the Brooklyn Nets this past week, and this is where things get very interesting. Out of nowhere, this guy loses what appears to be like 30 pounds of weight. And I know for a fact, I'm into fitness myself, I know for a fact that there is no way, shape, or form that this is possible. Sure, maybe it is. If you guys think it's possible, let me know in the comment section down below. But I actually think that this man wore a fat suit in pregame warmups just to appear fatter, just so he could get the Houston Rockets to trade him as soon as possible. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this. And I should have a post-game analysis on James Harden if the game was good enough tonight. If not, I'll definitely have one up on Monday night after the Brooklyn Nets play against the Milwaukee Bucks. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.